Young rebels willing to die and kill for democracy. In Myanmar, a fierce guerrilla war is intensifying. Amongst the resistance, former peaceful protesters risking their lives on the battlefield. This is who they're fighting, a brutal military junta that seized power in a coup 2 years ago. The regime doesn't want the outside world to see what they're doing here. But we're travelling secretly into the country. This river that we're crossing is the dividing line between Thailand and Myanmar. Myanmar's military controls the official border crossings, but we're heading into rebel-controlled territory. We're meeting fighters from a new unit, Cobra Column. In the back of this truck, former bakers, engineers, builders and entrepreneurs. Most of these men had never even fired a shot before the coup. Now they're at the forefront of the war, leading assaults on key trading towns as the rebels advance into regime-held territory. What has the fighting been like? Have you lost many men? Have you killed many of your enemies? Do you think you can really defeat the military? Do you have enough weapons, enough ammunition? They might look well armed, but their guns come from the black market. Other weapons are homemade. The regime labels the rebels terrorists, but their revolution began peacefully. Millions took to the streets in protest 2 years ago after the military seized power once again. Myanmar had been enjoying a brief period of civilian rule, but the army refused to accept the results of democratic elections, shooting dead hundreds of demonstrators after launching a coup. Tarkong Bua was working in construction when he joined the protests. He witnessed one of the bloodiest massacres of the crackdown.
What
was your life like before the coup? Kohin shows me pictures from his old life, posing in a Manchester United shirt. But for now, you're going to continue fighting? This is a young, idealistic movement. Cobra Column even has its own heavy metal anthem, celebrating their struggle. And they're not the only ones. It's a Gen Z revolution with tens of thousands of volunteers. Here, a massive rave at a training camp in another part of the country. The fighters are passionate, but they lack experience. Step in Myanmar's battle-hardened ethnic militias. Minority groups along the borders have been fighting for greater autonomy for decades. Now they're propping up this nationwide rebellion. We're in the headquarters of the Karen army. They're the ethnic group that have been fighting against Myanmar's military longer than anyone else, and they're hosting a lot of the activists turned guerrillas. The ethnic armies have trained and given sanctuary to the new fighters, including many from Myanmar's majority Burma population. The alliance is unprecedented in its scale, but there's a legacy of mistrust. You've been fighting against the military for a long time. What's different about the situation now? Myanmar's military is under more pressure than ever before, and they're responding with horrific violence. The rebels control large rural areas, so the regime, fearing ambushes, are relying on airstrikes like these. Helicopters and jets supplied by long-time allies China and Russia. Fear is everywhere. Around 1.5 million people have fled their homes. These orphans lost their parents before the war. Now they've been forced out from their village, seeking safety in the forest. Samuse has been helping look after them here for a year now. There's little aid for those inside Myanmar, the conflict ignored by much of the world. As we cross back into Thailand, fresh clashes break out close to another border town. Civilians caught in the crossfire wade across the river, carrying whatever they can. Fleeing their homes, around 10,000 people. On the other bank, temporary refugee camps are being set up. What happened? Why did you have to come here? It's only a brief respite. As soon as there's a lull in fighting, everyone here will have to return home. The violence is taking an awful toll. We've negotiated rare access to a secret clinic treating wounded fighters. So most of the people here, how do they get injured? Kokant used to be a chef. After the coup, he joined the rebels, assigned to a makeshift weapons factory. You lost your hand. Do you regret having joined the resistance movement? Despite the awful injuries here, there are no regrets. The brutality of war hasn't defeated the idealism of this generation. A book of poetry saved Charlie's life when he was shot in the chest during his second ever battle. He was just 17 when he signed up, lying about his age. He didn't want to show his face to protect his family. Did you get badly hurt?
No, Sapika that one solution. Young Najino. Oh, I'm Peter.
What do you want to do when you recover?
I still want to fight?
Aren't you afraid?
No.
Why not?
Because my friend was dying from my house.
So you want to get revenge?
Yes.
This war shows no sign of ending. Myanmar's rebels are on their own, but committed to the cause. A generation sacrificing their lives for a future they might never see.